And we're getting to the point of doing some wrap up here, but this is for you. For women in ministry, I've got a 90-day roadmap that I have designed for you. And this is what I'm going to share here now. So you've been working on building your dreams and thinking about that. And there are a couple of things to do to really get this going. So dreaming is a great thing, but we need to do some practical things to do. The first thing, write out your values. I talked about this at the beginning or much earlier on, being clear on your own values and put them down. Yes, you can revisit them and add to them at any particular point in time, but it doesn't work unless you start there, because these help design the dreams. These help tell you where you're going and how you're getting there, and things that you don't want, things that aren't supposed to be included in what you're doing. Because everybody's got a lot of ideas, and once you start thinking about things, other people will give you their ideas of what you should or shouldn't be doing. But this is about you, about who God calls you to be, where God calls you to do things and how and what. And so you need to write down your values so that people understand that, so that people get, and you get, really who God created you to be. So that's really critical and really important. And I hope you create as long of a list as you can. You know, the longer the list, in a sense, the better. And be specific. Not just, I like nature. Well, okay, what is it about nature that you like? I like flowers, I like trees, I like the birds, I like being out there. I value God's creation, and part of that, for me, goes back to the book of Genesis. Part of my theology is rooted in the first two chapters of Genesis. God created everything, and God said it was all very good. Not just nice, not just okay, not just good, but very good. And if I truly believe that, that has impact, it shapes and affects my values about the diversity in creation, about taking care of creation, about the diversity of people and how I interact and relate to all of them. So think about your values. What do they mean, and how do they help shape who you are and what you do? Second, or the next thing, is dream. You need to allow yourself to dream. And not just, oh, it would be nice. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Or I've heard other people talk about that. No, dream. Dream, and dream big. Dare to dream. Dare to expand your ideas, expand your world, expand your ideas about what ministry can be and who can all be involved and how it can be done. Declare a big dream. Don't settle for one that's manageable, maybe. Declare a big dream. The bigger, the better. Yeah. Impossible dreams do come true. Why? Because if they're really God's dreams for you, they will come true. And that's the beauty of it. So declare a dream, a big dream. Don't settle for what fits in the box. That's not what we're about here. This is for getting outside of that box and seeing God's bigger vision for you and for ministry and what that means. And then write it down. Write down that big dream. And it's got to be something about you. Make sure it's about you. And some people would say, oh, that's being selfish. I can't do that. That's being that's putting yourself back in the box and taking care of everybody else first. God designed us to take care of ourselves, to think about who God created us to be and where we're going. It's something, you know, doesn't even have to do with someone else. I remember when my coach first started encouraging me to dream big and to be selfish, and actually using that word selfish, which has so many negative connotations to it and is used usually so negatively. And because everything about being a woman and about being in ministry, it's about being a servant and it's about helping everybody else. And it's all of the things in scriptures that tell us that we're supposed to help everybody else. And that's all true. But it also means that we need to feed ourselves. Yeah? We need to be thinking about what is the dream that God has given you? Not somebody else, not the church in general, or even the congregation or the place where you're serving. What is the dream God has given you? And in that sense, it's okay to be selfish, to think about what God is wanting to do through you as your dream. And as I think about that, and I've looked back over the last couple of years at things I've accomplished, I mean, I would never have thought, I never had it in my initial dreams, at least, to have a radio show that got to every continent. I never thought about that. I never thought that I would be standing here doing this. I mean, that was not a part of my original thoughts and dreams. But I always had the vision that there's got to be something more. There's something more to ministry and more ways to do ministry than the ways I'd always known before that fit inside of that box. And there, you know, I told you earlier about that nudging I had from God when I was in 8th grade, and there was nothing there that fit for me as a woman to do in ministry. That for me, there were things for women, yes, but they weren't for me. And this is the same sort of thing. You know, it's what are the dreams that are there for you? And doing this kind of thing is part of that dream for me. Part of sharing God's love all over the world and helping other women in ministry to do that in a bigger, bolder way. That's part of my dream. So you're part of my dream in that sense of doing this very thing. And that's the stuff I'm so proud of that. To be able to step here into this kind of reality to do this. You know, that was, I would not have thought about that even a year ago, or 6 months ago for that matter. But it's here and it's now. And the dream is getting bigger for me. And that's what I'd want for you too. So let me ask you a question. What do you want? I mean, what do you really want? If you could dream and dream wildly, what is it outside of your current ministry, outside of the ideas of ministry that you've been brought up with and that are traditional for women? What is it that you really want? And this is something I want you to have that's between you and God. And God's okay with us wanting and desiring, because many times that's God nudging us to do something. That's a way of directing our path. can be. So it's okay to want. It's okay to desire something more, something bigger, something that isn't there yet. So dream. God plants those things in you, in me, so that we can give birth to them. You know, we are, after all, women, the birthing ones of the genders. And so give birth to these ideas. Nurture them, let them grow, and give birth to them. And so that's the second part. Dream wildly and give birth to it. And then pick one of those dreams that you have. Pick one. A whole one. Something, maybe you've started it. Maybe you haven't. Something that really makes your heart sing. Possibly something that you've never told anybody else. An idea that you've just kind of hidden away on your shelf, in a corner of your heart. You know, what is that dream? Let your music out. Let that heart song sing and give it the life that it needs. And then a fourth step is think about, okay, you've got the dream, you've picked one, then what do you need to do to make it a reality? The steps. Start breaking it down. The steps to get that dream into reality. You know, what's the first thing you would need to do? Tell somebody, work with somebody, you know, get the resources together. And that's actually the fifth step. What resources do you need? But what are some steps that you can take? Start to break that down so that you can begin to work instead of this huge big thing, you know. What's a little chunk? A little chunk that you can take. A bite-sized chunk, if that's what it takes. Take the first bite, but break it down into the steps that you can take. And I'm going to raise this up and see what we can do here. And then the fifth step is, what resources? Talk to my mindset. What resources do you need for mindset? What resources do you need to begin to take that first step? What people do you need? Who are the people you need in your life? What different things do you need? What kinds of learning might you need? What kinds of tools? Technology, any of those things. What are the resources you need? And it's not always money. That's not always the first resource. Sometimes it's the connections. And I can be one of those resources for you in many different ways. So just think about that. What are the resources that you're going to need? And then, actually, I'm going to flip this around so you can see up on the top here. Number 6, start taking one of those steps that you're going to put into action within the next 90 days. So we're here coming more than halfway through May, so June, July, August. So sometime between now and the end of August. What's one step that you can take and put into place between now and the end of August? That's a critical thing. You know, just don't make it something out there that isn't practical and doable. And then step number 7. This is an evaluation step, and it's in 60 days. Take a look at where things are. Reevaluate. We'll use that word. Not reevaluate. I want you to just evaluate. Evaluate where you are. How are you doing with that one step that you said you were going to take? What problems are you seeing with that? Where are you getting someplace? Are you not getting someplace with it? What adjustments might you need to make so that with the last 30 days you can get there? That's what we need to be thinking about as well. So at the 60-day mark, the end of July, evaluate. How are things going? What do you need? What support yourselves and others who are dreaming, where can you get that mutual support for each other? Do you have community that can be that supportive network for you? Maybe you don't. Can I be that supportive part of that supportive community for you? You can reach out to me on Facebook, on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me in a private message. There are many ways to get in touch with me, and we can see how that might work. This is not an offer for anything, but you need to have that support. You need to have the people around you to be able to take steps to move forward instead of just staying right where you are. The dreams are there. And as a friend of mine says, your dreams are urgent. God doesn't plant them in our hearts and our minds for no reason. The world is changing, and it's changing rapidly, and it's going to change more rapidly. I don't know all of the ways that's going to happen, but it's happening. And we need to work together and follow the dreams that God gives us so that ministry and our faith is relevant to those dreams, to those changes, to what's happening in the world around us, to how people are feeling and what's going on. And there are all the tensions and the crises that are going on in our world. And unfortunately, sometimes faith becomes what polarizes and continues to polarize instead of what brings us together and brings understanding. And this is a call for us to be about what God wants. Not my ideas, not your ideas, but what God wants. And the seeds and dreams that God plants in us. And then being selfish about making those dreams come true. And you can make your dreams come true. That is possible. I'm proof standing here. Things can happen. Changes can come. New ministries can be conceived and come forth. That's what this is about. You are worth it. Your dreams are worth it. Your faith is worth it. So, no more putting yourself on the shelf. No more saying, well, a few years from now, maybe I'll be able to do this. Got to save up some money, whatever it is. Whatever the excuses are that we've been giving yourself, enough. Enough with that. You are worth it. Otherwise, God wouldn't put the dreams in your heart and in your minds. Your faith is worth it. Faith community, the world is worth it. So it's time. It is time. And this is, the 90-day roadmap that I've given for you as a woman in ministry to start doing that. So as we wrap up, I want you to walk away with this. You have a dream. And like I said, your dreams are valuable. Very, very valuable. They're worth everything. To God, they're gold or diamonds or, whatever the most precious is. Because you are precious to God. The world is precious to God. Your dreams are given to you by God. The seeds that are planted within you. And it is time to nurture those seeds. You can make those dreams a reality. Yeah, you can make them happen. Here are 7 steps. 7 ways to think about that. You know, work through that. Begin the process. It won't happen if you don't start. So the start is to writing down your values and dreaming. Dare to dream. Dream wildly. Get big dreams. The dreams that everybody else might think are foolish. How in the world could that happen? I've heard that one before. Women aren't supposed to do that. I've heard that one before too. You know? You are a child of God. You are given that gift. And that is what I want you to remember above all else. Your dreams are valuable because God values you. And so I say, thank you, thank you, thank you for being here, for sharing this time with me, and for daring to dream, daring to start that process. And I look forward to the next time we connect and the way that that will happen. So until then, I say God's peace to each and every one of you, and reach out to me. I'll be here. So don't be a stranger. Take care.